To preface this review, I wanted so badly to watch the first Inside Out before reviewing the second one, just because it's a continuation. And back in 2015, when the first one released, I didn't really watch it at all. I've never watched the first Inside Out, and just because that's one of those movies where it just kind of passed me by. But I ended up not watching the first Inside Out before watching the second Inside Out. The only reason is because I hate Disney nowadays. This is not negative against Inside Out 1 or 2. If I have to go and be forced to watch a Disney film to review for you, my audience, I'm already hating myself in the time it takes to watch said film in the theaters. So I really don't want to watch and experience another shit Disney movie that's most likely going to be woke as fuck. So this review is going to be about Inside Out 2, and I never watched the first Inside Out, so there's my disclaimer and preface for this review. Now, Inside Out 2, which is a Disney film, and it's a continuation of Inside Out, and as prefaced, I never watched the first Inside Out. What I can say about Inside Out 2 is that I fucking loved it. Honestly, I understand all of the rave reviews and ratings, not just from critics, but audiences alike since the first Inside Out came out. I get it now. I really do get it. This film is a super non-woke retelling and version of how to explain to your kids what it's like when they're growing up and going through puberty and hormonal changes and just life experiences with yourself. And I loved that the most about Inside Out 2. The plot of Inside Out 2 revolves around Riley and her inner emotions, joy, envy, and then it also comes with new people as well. Or I guess envy were part of the new emotions, but it was like joy, sadness, embarrassment, anxiety, and honestly, it's really funny. There's kind of a spoiler here, a couple spoilers, so just so you know. But honestly, the main villains of Inside Out 2 are also actually kind of the main protagonists of this film, wherein the new emotions come into play and they turn into the villains of the story, and then also thereby making the human character Riley kind of the villain as well. But this story of Inside Out 2 revolves around Riley going through puberty and finding a way to overcome all these new changes, new feelings, new ways of experiencing life and everything. And I loved it. The biggest reason I loved Inside Out 2, though, hands down, the writing. The writers of this film, they know about human anthropology, the human body, human emotions, the complexity of humanity. They get it. And the writing of this film is also super hilarious. There was the one funniest joke in this entire film is expanded into its own full-length scene, and it revolves around sarcasm, and everybody in the theater laughed about it, but honestly, when you actually listen and go through that scene, it's actually a hilarious joke for intellectuals, and I loved it so much. I love that it's an intellectual joke that actually everybody gets. Now, the comedy in this film is super funny. I really have nothing bad to say about the comedy or the writing in this film. Both of those are phenomenal. The ending of this film, while it does pack an emotional punch, it's not really as big or heavy as what Disney has done before. Like Wreck-It Ralph, the first Wreck-It Ralph, for example, the ending where Ralph finally realizes and admits to himself that he's been the bad guy the entire time and he needs to set things right. That was more of an emotional punch than Inside Out 2's ending. But that's not to say Inside Out 2 doesn't have a phenomenal ending, because it does. I just feel like they could have put more into it. Really, the only gripe I have with Inside Out 2 was in the introduction of the film, where you're reintroduced to Riley and her emotions being joy, anger, and the like. And the intro is fine, although coming from somebody that never watched the first Inside Out, I have to say the intro of Inside Out 2 kind of started to feel directionless. It was about 10 minutes into the film where the plot actually comes into play. But before that, it was mainly just Riley meandering on an ice rink. And then right whenever we start with the puberty, that's when the movie really gets going. But before that, the intro was just kind of meandering, playing hockey, and reintroducing everybody, Joy and Riley and Anger and all of them. But yes, I would 100% say the weakest point of this film is the intro of the film, but that's not a bad thing because the intro of this film is definitely one of the stronger intros in a film that Disney has ever made. Overall, for me, I absolutely loved this film. I especially loved the writing and the complexity and how the writers took complexity and threw it into how to show your teenager how to go through puberty and hormonal changes in such a kid-friendly way, and I loved it for that. Now, I was making this joke to myself in my head throughout this entire film. If this film was based around Riley going through teen life and going through puberty and hormonal changes, and I'm assuming the first one was about her being a little kid, honestly, I would hate if they made an Inside Out 3 because that shit would have to be about going through adulthood, and that would have to be rated R. That would have to be Disney's next Deadpool, Inside Out 3 Deadpool, rated R. It would just have to be. It wouldn't make sense in any G or PG kid-friendly way. I'm just saying. But that's just a funny joke I was thinking to myself throughout this movie, and that also made me laugh. But this film alone is super funny at the very least. Honestly, I don't understand if there was anybody in this world that didn't like Inside Out 1. I guess I didn't watch it to be able to have an opinion on that matter. If I watched it and it was the same as this one, I would have to say I don't understand why they didn't like the first one. Hands down though, full on, I would have to say anybody that watches Inside Out 2 and does not like it, I really just don't fucking understand them whatsoever. So overall for me, Inside Out 2 is a 9 out of 10 with the comedy and writing being the top tiers reasons why this film is a 9 out of 10. And unfortunately, I couldn't give it a 10 out of 10. Even though this has been an excellent year for film, I had to knock it down to a 9 because of the intro, the kind of directionless intro until the main plot actually kicks in. So Inside Out 2 is still a very, very strong and hilarious 9 out of 10. I strongly recommend it for everybody. Kids and adults will love this film. Everybody, I mean everybody in the theater when I watched this film, and I would gladly say throughout the theater, the audience was about half and half. Kids and adults alike. I was hearing everybody laugh. Absolutely everybody was laughing through this entire film. So 9 out of 10, Inside Out 2. Thank you.